Thank you, Sharda University and Shri Vaike Gupta ji. Ma'am. Republic TV I left 1 year back. So that's okay. Now, friends, I just want to tell you a couple of things. This topic, Indian military thought, strategic patience and decision making, relevance in the contemporary. This is a very confusing title. And I have built my entire career in the media by simplifying complex issues. That is what I'm known for, and this is exactly what I'm going to do today. I'm going to simplify stuff and bring it to you for your consumption. Now, when you say Indian military thought, what exactly is Indian military thought? That is how the Indian military thinks, right? Now, Indian military thought actually started with the East India Company. So all the regiments of the Indian Army, except the ones that were raised after independence, were all raised by the British. This was originally the British Indian Army. On the night intervening 14th August and 15th August, when India was partitioned, some part of the British Indian Army became the Pakistan Army, and the larger part became the Indian Army. Similarly for the Air Force, similarly for the Navy. We've all had our journeys, the Indian Railways, part of the Indian Railways became the Pakistan Railways, etc., etc. So everything was divided. Because the East India Company laid the foundations, of the armed forces, especially our military thought, much of our military thought comes from Western sources, right? It comes from Western sources simply because it did not benefit the British to teach us about Samudragupta, Chandragupta Maurya, or Chanakya. It benefited the British to tell us about the Roman Empire, about Alexander the Great. And I'm not saying Alexander was not great. I'm not saying he was not. But there was a deliberate attempt to downplay the achievements of sons of the soil. There was a deliberate attempt to downplay what our forefathers and ancestors had achieved. Like, for example, not many know that the Chola Empire ruled for more than 1,000 years. Most of Southeast Asia, present-day Sri Lanka, they were all under the Chola Samrajya. Not many people know of that, but that's true. So, over a period of time, we started talking about Prussian generals, as in modern day Germany. We started talking about British generals. A lot of people would read about Nelson, the Battle of Waterloo. They would read about modern English poetry. The charge of the Light Brigade, ours not to reason why, ours just to do and die. We would read about stuff like that. And all our inspiration, all our strategic thought process was British based, because the armed forces are originally, the Indian armed forces are originally the creation of the East India Company. In 1857, the first War of Independence happened. You're aware of that, not very far from here, in Meerut. It started off, spread like wildfire across India. And it was at that point in time where the British call it a mutiny. We say it's not a mutiny. We say it was the first War of Independence, where Indian soldiers, for various reasons, social and religious, they picked up arms and started fighting against the British. When I say British, I don't mean the Crown, I mean the East India Company. And at that point in time, ladies and gentlemen, more than half the world's GDP, the trade was done through the East India Company. It was that big. It was bigger than most empires. Now, what happened was, over a period of time, 1857, the power was handed to the Crown, and the King and the Queen became the overlords of India. You'll be very surprised when India got its independence and two militaries were created, the Pakistan military and the Indian military. Separately, they were created. They were exactly the same in every possible way. There was no difference between the Pakistan army and the Indian army. They had exactly the same uniforms, exactly the same habits, exactly the same orders, the same laws, the same regulations. Everything was exactly the same. But on the night intervening 14th and 15th, when the two armies separated, for a very long period of time, everything remained exactly the same. In India, we followed British customs. We still do, to a very large extent. There are certain, you might have translated them into Hindi, but they remain British customs. In Pakistan, the same thing happened. But in Pakistan, there was an army chief who belonged to Indian Punjab, who after partition went to Pakistan. There was a coup. He hanged the Prime Minister. I'm talking about General Ziaul Haq. And that is how the change in Pakistani army came about. The motto of the Pakistani army was unity, faith, discipline. That was the motto given by Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Unity, faith, discipline. But General Ziaul Haq changed all of that. He stopped liquor being served in the officer messes. He stopped music. And he said that Pakistan was created in the name of religion and it should go along that direction. The motto of the Pakistani army was changed. From unity, faith, discipline, it became Iman, Taqwa, Jihad fi Sabilillah. And that remains the motto of the Pakistani army today. The Pakistan army exists for one cause, and that is waging jihad against India. It is their motto. There are many people in India who think, no, we must talk to the Pakistan army. They say, no, we must interact with the Pakistani army. There is going to be peace. Let me tell you, anybody who thinks that there will be peace between India and Pakistan is living in a fool's paradise. It's not going to happen. It can never happen. Now, Indian strategic thought over the past decade is changing. We are having a lot of references of Chanakya. There are a lot of references to Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj and the guerrilla war that he started against Aurangzeb Alamgir. There are a lot of references to what Maharaja Ranjit Singh Ji did. The Khalsa army's flag was flying in Kabul. How many of you know that? The Khalsa army hammered Afghanistan. Do you know that the Dogra armies went all the way to Tibet? Are you aware of that? So anybody who tells you, I'll come back to this military thought and strategic thought, but anybody who tells you, you must have heard. I'm sure all of you have heard that हमने कभी किसी पे हमला नहीं करा. आपने सुना है? हमने कभी किसी, ये झूठ है. हमने बहुत हमले करे हैं और हमारे ऊपर बहुत हमले हुए हैं. When General Zorawar Singh went and conquered Tibet, or when the Dogra armies went and conquered Tibet, it was not a mission of peace. When the Khalsa Fauj went and conquered Afghanistan, it was not a mission of peace. When the Chola naval forces went and they went to South Asia or Southeast Asia, much of Cambodia, you are aware of the Angkor Wat temples? The temples at Angkor Wat? Who made those? So there is a divergence here. This is what I wanted to bring out. There is a dichotomy in thought. We are told that we are peaceful. We are told that we are peaceful, and the truth is that we are not peaceful. No empire can exist if you're peaceful. Empires are made with blood and iron. Empires are not made by peace. Let's be very clear. Empires are made on the basis of strength, military strength. Yes, diplomacy is extremely important. The economy is super important. There is no doubt. Anybody who tells you that the economy is not important is lying. Anybody who says that diplomacy is not important is lying. Everything is important. कोशस से बलात् सेनाएं जयते. कोशस से बलात् सेनाएं जयते. This is what Chanakya wrote in the Arthashastra. It means from the strength of the treasury, the army is born. Any army is as good as your economy. And the economy and the army are interlinked because the more money you put in the army, the better your army becomes. This is what Chanakya said 2,500 years back. From the strength of the treasury, the army is born. And as far as diplomacy is concerned, the more powerful your military forces, the better your diplomacy. What is diplomacy? What is diplomacy after all? It is getting the other party to agree to your terms and conditions and having good relations. Why will they agree to you? Or why will they agree with you? Either you can give them money or you can pressurize them. As it is written in the Arthashastra, Sam, Dam, Dand, Bhed. Sam is what Dr. Jaishankar does. Right? By way of convincing. Dam is what Nirmala Sitharamanji does. Dand is what the armed forces do. And Bhed is what Mr. Ajit Doval does. That is by way of deception. And I will quote Sun Tzu here, the great Chinese philosopher, the great Chinese general who wrote the book, The Art of War. I'm sure many of you have heard of The Art of War. You would have read The Art of War. Sun Tzu says, all warfare is based on deception. युद्ध की नींव भेद है. That is why when we launched Operation Sindoor, Pakistan did not know they were being hit. That is the core of war. You cannot telegraph, you cannot announce your intentions to the enemy 5 days in advance. It only happens in the movies कि मैं आऊंगा मारू, ऐसा नहीं होता. When the enemy gets hit, that is the time the enemy must know that they have been hit. So when you talk about Indian military thought is changing. It's changing surely and slowly, but it is changing. There is no doubt about that. So now we are getting a lot of readings on, there was, have you heard of Sardar Angade, the naval commander of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj? How he fought his naval battles. Today, the main complex of the Naval War College in Goa, there is a Naval War College. It is named after the Chola king Raja Raja. In fact, the naval flag today has the seal of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Ji. It was changed. And we are changing because we realize, how do you make people slaves? This you have to understand. You have to understand the concept before you understand this. जब आपको लोगों को गुलाम बनाना होता है ना, तो सबसे पहले आपको यह बताना पड़ता है कि आप इंफीरियर हैं. आपका कल्चर इंफीरियर है, आपका रिलीजन इंफीरियर है, आपका खाना इंफीरियर है, आपकी वेशभूषा इंफीरियर है, आपकी सोच इंफीरियर है. और अगर आपको सुपीरियर बनना है तो 1 2 3 4 5 फिर हम आपको सुपीरियर बना देंगे. In Hindi we call it हीन भावना. This is something that has to be implanted if I have to make you subservient to me. Otherwise you will question me. I will tell you something that many of you may find slightly controversial. And then I said that I should not, I'm not here to create a controversy. And then I said, okay, let me create a controversy. Because you never know who might benefit. That is not the aim actually. See, always remember, inquiry should be at the core of our existence. Not yes sir inquiry. If you look at the samvad between Shiv and Parvati, she is questioning him constantly. Every time you question, and when you question again and again and again and you get the answers, your mind broadens. And that is how you create Google. That is how you create Facebook. It is a function of questioning constantly. So When we talk about Indian military thought, strategic patience. Now this is very complicated, strategic patience and decision making. What is strategic patience? You bide your time. You say, okay, today is not the time. I have my own disagreements with it, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there are senior people who would know much more than me. I'm not a very patient sort of a guy. And whenever I advocate something, I always advocate a head-on collision. That is my nature. So what am I trying to say here? What I'm trying to say here is that today you have a problem with Pakistan, you have a problem with China, and both are nuclear armed. A lot of people tend to compare the Indian armed forces with Israel and say that we should do what Israel is doing. We can't do that. Israel is not surrounded by nuclear powers. We are. They have a different set of a problem, we have a different set of problems. That is number one. Number two, we are operating mostly on our own soil. So when the American army, I'll tell you, a lot of people, especially in J&K, you'll find that this officer has lost his life and that officer has lost his life. Young officers. Why does that happen? So typically what the American army is very happy doing that. So the American army says that, okay, there are 5 people from Al-Qaeda or ISIS, Daesh inside a building. Put a missile inside that building, that's the end of the story, right? That is the aim. We can't do that here in India. We can't do that because we are operating within our own people. If you're operating in Kashmir, Kashmiris are our own people. People of Jammu and Kashmir, वो हमारे लोग हैं. You can't fire missiles. And the Indian army is happy to take casualties, but they will never carry out such operations. हमने कोई बड़ा हथियार कश्मीर में नहीं चलाया आज तक. Right from 1989 onwards till date, जो भी बड़ा हथियार चला है लाइन ऑफ कंट्रोल पे चला है, कश्मीर के अंदर नहीं चला. And because of that, we have lost officers. But when I talk about strategic patience, what am I talking about? It's something else. And there is something very defective in us. You know what is defective in our character? What is defective in our character is our search for maturity. We did not respond to 2611 because we want to be seen by the world as mature. हम लोगों को maturity की बहुत problem है. We want the world to look at us as a mature power, a responsible power. Hundreds of people may die in 2611. It's okay. We are a mature power. Hundreds of people, I don't know if all of you, and you are very young, if you remember that in 1993, more than 1,000 kgs of RDX came into Bombay and there were multiple blasts in Bombay and hundreds of people died. But we did not respond because we are a mature country. Our parliament was attacked. We did not respond adequately because we are a mature country. The Akshardham Mandir was attacked. We did not respond because we are a mature country. Kashmir was set on fire, Jammu and Kashmir. We did not respond because we are a mature country. Punjab was set on fire. Thousands died in Punjab. We did not respond because we are a mature country. We never respond simply because we are a mature country. There is this obsession with maturity, that people should look at us as a mature power. And here, ladies and gentlemen, this is one example that I give again and again. Can you hear me at the back? Please raise your hands if you can hear me at the back. Great. So today I'd like to tell you, and this is something that I've repeated at every platform because I want people to understand. It's very important that we ये समझें हम, हमारे लिए बहुत जरूरी है कि लोग समझें. If you have the capability of committing violence, अगर आप में हिंसा करने की क्षमता है और आप हिंसा नहीं करते तो आप पीसफुल हैं. अगर आप में हिंसा करने की क्षमता ही नहीं है तो आप हार्मलेस हैं. When you show too much of maturity, people start thinking that you are harmless. They don't assume that you are peaceful. स्ट्रैटेजिक पेशेंस शुड हैव लिमिट्स. आपका लिमिट क्या है? कितने लोगों का खून बहेगा तब आपको लगेगा कि हमें कुछ करना चाहिए अपने लोगों के लिए? इजराइल, इट्स वेरी इजी टू टॉक अबाउट इजराइल. इजराइल डज नॉट टॉलरेट द किलिंग ऑफ वन सिटीजन. अमेरिका डज नॉट टॉलरेट द किलिंग ऑफ वन सिटीजन. यहां पे फर्क ही नहीं पड़ रहा, 100, 200, 300, 500. दैट इज द प्रॉब्लम. And you know, strategic patience of such a level, which I disagree, things have changed drastically. Things have become far, far better in the past 10 odd years, 11 odd years. But even today we know, in Operation Sindoor, we attacked Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed. We attacked Muridke, we attacked Bahawalpur, we attacked many of their centers. Today, they are rebuilding those centers. And the media is showing it. So I assume that because my media knows, my government also knows. And I assume that my intelligence agencies and my army, navy and air force, everybody knows. But what are we doing about it? We are saying कि अगली बार तुमने पहलगाम जैसा कुछ करा तो फिर हम करेंगे. आपको क्या लग रहा है कि वो दोबारा अपने सेंटर किस लिए बना रहा है? Why do you think he's making all those centers again? Why do you think Hafiz Saeed and Maulana Masood Azhar are making those centers again, spending crores of rupees and again creating a terror infrastructure in Pakistan? Why do you think they're doing that? And what is their aim? Do they want to fight China? Do they want to fight Afghanistan? Do they want to fight Iran? No, they want to fight India. So why don't you go for a preemptive strike? अगर आपको पता है कि आपका दुश्मन तैयारी कर रहा है, so why don't you hit him first? Why are you waiting for them to attack you? प्रॉब्लम क्या होती है अटैक में, मैं आपको बताता हूं. फ्रॉम अ मिलिट्री पर्सपेक्टिव वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट स्ट्रेटेजिक पेशेंस एंड डिसीजन मेकिंग. मैं डिसीजन मेकिंग पे आता हूं. यू नो द प्रॉब्लम विद दैट इन रिस्पॉन्डिंग इज दैट यू आर वेटिंग फॉर एन अटैक. टुडे दोज पीपल आर सेइंग वी विल चूज द टाइम एंड प्लेस टू अटैक यू. दे चोज पहलगाम. दे सेड कि इस तारीख को इतने बजे. इट वॉज देयर चॉइस. इट वॉज नॉट डिक्टेटेड बाय अस. इट वॉज पाकिस्तान's choice. Next time the attack happens, again Pakistan will choose where and when to hit us. It could be in Delhi, it could be in Bombay, it could be in Kashmir, Jammu, wherever. It is Pakistan's choice. So where is your choice? आपकी choice कहां पे है? फिर आप बोलोगे कि $4 trillion की इकोनॉमी है, 4th largest economy in the world. क्या फायदा है ऐसी इकोनॉमी का? क्या फायदा है ऐसी इकोनॉमी का? मैंने आपको पहली चाणक्य कोट करा था ना, from the strength of the treasury the army is born. Once you know that those people mean harm, you please attack them first. Don't wait for the attack to happen. So we spoke about strategic patience and decision making. So what should ideally happen is, when did the, I'll give you an example so it becomes very easy. You know, सरलीकरण जिसको हिंदी में कहते हैं ना, इसका सरलीकरण कर देते हैं. When did the Pahalgam attacks happen? Date? Come on, don't tell me you've already forgotten. Done? 22nd of April. When did we respond to Pakistan? 7th? 7th of May? 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th ko ceasefire. The problem is when you take so long to respond, and I'm sure there were logical reasons for taking that long. It's very easy for me to stand up with a mic on stage and say ये गलत, ये गलत, ये गलत, but आपको क्या पता पीछे क्या हो रहा है? ये एक बात है, ये एक सच्चाई है जो हमें माननी पड़ेगी. However, there is another facet to this entire problem. And the problem is, and the other facet of this problem is that you respond after 12 to 15 days. It gives the world time to put pressure on you. And this is exactly what Pakistan wants. It knows that it has nuclear weapons. That is why when Donald Trump said that I have done the ceasefire, the first thing Pakistan said is कि yes, you are right, sir, you have done the ceasefire because both are nuclear weapons. अगर आप नहीं करवाते तो करोड़ों लोग मर जाते. This is called nuclear blackmail, right? Why can't you have a system in place where anything happens in Jammu and Kashmir, within 20 minutes there is a strike against Pakistan on their military headquarters somewhere? You do it, you put a system in place, you do that, बाद में निपटते रहेंगे। देखिए बात ये होती है ना कि whoever hits first, he gets the first mover advantage। बाद में लोग आ जाते हैं कॉम्प्रोमाइज करने के लिए कि नहीं साहब मत करिए, ये गलत है, ये गलत है, फिर डिप्लोमेटिक प्रेशर आ जाता है। Why wait for that? You know a strike has taken place, you know Pakistan is responsible, hit back immediately। ये गाड़ियां जा रही हैं, मीटिंग हो रही है, मैं अनुज बोल रहा हूं, यहां पे खड़ा हूं, मेरे साथ एक कैमरा पर्सन शैलेश है, ये सामने देखिए पता नहीं है गाड़ियां जा रही हैं, गाड़ियां आ रही हैं, पता नहीं क्यों जा रही हैं गाड़ियां, क्या बात कर रहे हैं, आपको पता है पाकिस्तान ने कराया, ठोक दो उसको यार। एंड जस्ट फिनिश ऑफ विद दैट, जस्ट फिनिश ऑफ विद दैट इमीडिएटली। उससे क्या होगा, जिसको आई कम बैक टू दिस डिसीजन मेकिंग, इट इज कॉल्ड इन द आर्मी वी कॉल इट कॉस्ट एंड कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस। कॉस्ट एंड कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस। एवरी एक्शन हैज अ कॉस्ट अटैच्ड एंड वॉट एवर यू डू अगेंस्ट इंडिया हैज अ कॉन्सिक्वेंस अटैच्ड। आप कुछ गलत करोगे, उसका जवाब मिलेगा। एंड ऑलवेज रिमेंबर लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन दैट every response must be disproportionate. It must be punitive and it must be visible. तीन चीजें होती हैं। Punitive, Pakistan must know why it is being punished. It is very important that they know why they are being punished. Number one. Number two, disproportionate. If somebody throws a rock, you throw a mountain. It can't be proportionate, it has to be disproportionate. And thirdly, it has to be visible. It should be done in front of the entire world so that the punishment is driven home, because Pakistan is not alone. There is China and there are other countries also involved in this entire thing, right? So now about this contemporary world order, when we say relevance in the contemporary world order, let us start with India's neighborhood. So who are there in India's neighborhood? Let's start from the south. You have Sri Lanka and you have Maldives. You can call Maldives as a neighbor. It is practically a neighbor or a near neighbor. Then you go towards the west, you have Pakistan. Amongst the near neighbors, you can count Iran and Afghanistan. You can count them. आप ऊपर से जाओगे, China है, correct? And then you have these host of countries, whether they are Nepal or Myanmar or Bangladesh, etc., etc. Everywhere, I'm not counting Bhutan, I'm not naming Bhutan here. For a specific reason, I'm not naming Bhutan. Everywhere, wherever you go, you'll find foreign presence. And for some reason, you'll find anti-India feeling. Have you noted this? I don't know why Prime Minister goes to Lakshadweep and he says Lakshadweep is very beautiful. I don't know why it pinches Maldives. Tomorrow if he goes to Mumbai and says Mumbai is a beautiful city, somebody will get upset. आपने मुंबई को अच्छा कैसे बोल दिया? But it's a fact, right? Maldives got very upset. Their ministers started speaking all sorts of things which are not diplomatic. They should not have been speaking, but they spoke. And finally, Maldives came back. Same thing happened with Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, Hanmantota port. You're aware of Hanmantota port? It was built by the Chinese, and now slowly and slowly, when they got stuck, when they needed money, China said, sorry, bye-bye. India gave $4 billion. Today, they've come back. Then, let's talk about Nepal. For a very long time, for a very, very long time, Nepal has been under the influence of the Chinese. Nepal has been under the influence of the Chinese. We need to do more with Nepal. I have an emotional connect with Nepal. वहाँ पे पशुपतिनाथ का मंदिर है. That is my connect. सीता माँ का घर है वो. ये connect है. And I think we should build upon that. We can't ignore these realities. डोकलाम में क्या हुआ था? भूटान के दरवाजे पे चाइना आ गया था. Doklam is present in 3 countries. No, Doklam is not Indian. Part of Doklam is with India, part of Doklam, this, that, it's spread out. If you noted Bangladesh, why this anti-India feeling in Bangladesh? Have you ever noticed? Massive anti-India feeling in Bangladesh. Why? What have we done? Have you ever realized? करा हमने कुछ नहीं है, नाम खराब हो गया. कुछ नहीं करा हमने. Rather we give money to Bangladesh. We give lots of funds, hundreds of crores every year to Bangladesh. Do this, let's do trade, etc., etc. Bangladesh also realizes that 95% of Bangladesh's border is actually with India, and only 5% is with Myanmar. We have 4,000 kilometers plus of border with Bangladesh. and yet there is this severe anti-India feeling. क्या होता है? उसको हम फौज में बोलते हैं externalization of threat. Relevance in the contemporary world order. This is called externalization of threat. What is externalization of threat? हम लोग बहुत अच्छे हैं, खतरा बाहर से है. This is externalization of threat. हम लोग बड़े मासूम हैं, हमसे अच्छा कोई है नहीं दुनिया में, हम बिल्कुल एकदम फरिश्ते हैं, हम मासूम हैं, ये गड़बड़ इंडिया कर रहा है बगल से. जब भी आप एक ग्रुप को पकड़ के ये बोलेंगे कि यू आर वेरी, सी दीज थिंग्स आर वेरी इजी टू बिलीव. These things are very easy to believe. There are 2-3 things. If you mention to anybody, it's the same. जो ये ज्योतिष विद्या वाले करते हैं ना, जो ये यही चूरन खिलाते हैं आप लोगों को. They do exactly this. अब आप बोलेंगे जी आप क्या नाम है आपका? अच्छा जी मेरा नाम रमेश है. आप ना दिल के बड़े अच्छे. कौन बोलेगा नहीं साहब मैं दिल का बहुत खराब हूं एक्चुअली? Nobody will say that. So they start off with these low hanging fruits. That is how diplomacy and geopolitics. You start with low hanging fruits. आप मुसीबत में दोस्त का साथ नहीं छोड़ देते. कोई ये बोलेगा नहीं साहब पहली मुसीबत में मैं भाग जाता हूं. Nobody will say that. So they will, all these socially accepted truths, they will feed you, which are very easy. So you tell a people that you are very good actually. But जो आपकी मुसीबत हो रही है ना, ये बाहर वाला है, वरना इन्फोसिस एक्चुअली बांग्लादेश में होना था. TCS, विप्रो, HCL ये सब बांग्लादेश में होने थे. साजिश करी है इंडिया ने. So then you say, हाँ हम तो बड़े अच्छे हैं, यही साजिश कर रहे हैं, गंदे लोग हैं. That is how it happens. That is how you twist and tweak the mind of the people of any country. That is exactly what happened in Bangladesh. Today, all the rhetoric out of Bangladesh has stopped. Have you noted that? That anti-India rhetoric has stopped suddenly. Chup. And ever since Srimati Karki has taken over as Prime Minister of, or the officiating, or the, you know, whatever, Prime Minister of Nepal, suddenly things have become slightly normal. We need to be very careful. We are surrounded by instability. India is the only country in Southeast Asia, oh sorry, I beg your pardon, South Asia, I beg your pardon, only country that is stable. Pakistan recently signed a deal with Saudi Arabia. अब आप देखिए, can anybody tell me why Pakistan signed a deal with Saudi Arabia? Anybody? Are you aware that Pakistan signed a deal with Saudi Arabia? क्यों हुआ ये?
Saudi Arabia signed a deal.
Islamic NATO.
It's a deal that they are saying.
देखिए, मैं आपको बताता हूं. Saudi Arabia is a very mature nation, and they don't react like this. Pakistan reacts just like that. Pakistan has been speaking about the deal publicly to a lot of people, lot of news agencies. Saudi Arabia made just one statement, official statement. Saudi Arabia did not mention nuclear weapons. Pakistan said, no, our nuclear weapons are Saudi Arabia's nuclear weapons. And today only I recorded that video. You can see it at, I think 3 o'clock or something like that. 5 o'clock. My producer is saying 5 o'clock. वो वहाँ से बता रहा है कि 5 बजे आएगा वो वीडियो, 3 बजे नहीं आएगा. You know, what happened was that when they went and when they spoke to Saudi Arabia had a very, very normal, or आप कभी, how many of you been to Dubai or Oman or something like that? आप जब भी अरबों से बात करेंगे ना, बड़े सुलझे हुए लोग हैं. They're very stable, very calm, बड़े सुलझे हुए लोग हैं. Pakistanis are like popcorn. Oh, टक 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 टक, पता नहीं इनको क्या है, कुछ खुजली होती है इनको. They're always like that. So they are trying to tell people that हमने तो बस तीर मार लिया. And you know what they're saying? They're saying कि अगली बार ऑपरेशन सिंदूर हमारे ऊपर होता है तो फिर देखना सऊदी अरब हमला कर देगा भारत के ऊपर. अगले दिन सऊदी अरब कहता है कि याद है जो इंडिया और हमारी $100 बिलियन की डील की बात हुई थी, इन्वेस्टमेंट की. हमने बोला हाँ हमें याद है. तो सऊदी अरब कह रहा है जी हमें भी याद है, हम करने वाले हैं. अच्छा, दिस इज सो फनी दैट, अच्छा, सऊदी अरेबिया हैज मनी. इजराइल ने कतर के ऊपर मिसाइल मारी, राइट? यू नो दिस हैपेंड अ वीक बैक. दे हिट कतर एंड सडनली ये अल उदैद एयरबेस है एक, It is in Qatar and it is the largest base in West Asia. It is actually West Asia. वो अंग्रेज इसको मिडिल ईस्ट बोलते हैं. There is nothing called Middle East. It is West Asia. वेस्ट एशिया का लार्जेस्ट बेस जो है वो कतर में है. वहां पे उनकी नेवी है, एयरफोर्स है, मरीन्स हैं, सब कोई है, आर्मी शामी सब है वहां पे. उसके 60-65 किलोमीटर दूर इन्होंने हमास के ऑफिस में रॉकेट मार दिया. अब फनी बात क्या है आपको पता है? जब मैंने लोगों को बोला तो लोगों ने बोला नहीं ऐसा नहीं हो सकता, आप कैसी बातें कर रहे हैं. आपको पता है हमास का ऑफिस क्यों बना कतर में? क्योंकि अमेरिका ने बोला था. 2012 में इन 2012 अमेरिका रिक्वेस्टेड कतर कि प्लीज हमास का एक ऑफिस बनवा लो, हमें इनसे बात करनी है, आपके थ्रू बात करेंगे तो आपकी इज्जत करते हैं ये लोग, क्योंकि आप अरब्स हैं तो आपकी इज्जत करते हैं, तो हम आपके थ्रू बात करेंगे. नाउ हैव यू अंडरस्टूड? अमेरिका ने पहले कतर को धोखा दिया, ठीक है, फिर अमेरिका ने हमास को धोखा दिया क्योंकि हमास से बोला कि हमें आपसे बात करनी है, ठीक है, और सबको धोखा करके अमेरिका कह रहा है हमें तो बातें, हमें पता ही नहीं क्या हो रहा है यार यहाँ पे. एंड दे टोल्ड इजराइल कि तुम जाके बम मारो, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. तो उन्होंने बोला सर हम बम तो मार देंगे लेकिन आपका एयरबेस बगल में. उन्होंने कोई नहीं, घर की बात है, तुम मार दो, कोई दिक्कत नहीं, मेक श्योर दैट यू डोंट हिट अस, इनको मार दो. अभी जो वाईके गुप्ता जी कह रहे थे, ही वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट द H1B वीजाज, बड़ा पर्टिनेंट पॉइंट है, बर्निंग क्वेश्चन है. मैं इसके बाद मैं क्लोज कर दूंगा और फिर देन आई विल टेक क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम यू. ये जो H1B वीजा का खेल है ना, दिस इज वेपनाइजेशन. किसी भी चीज का ना वेपनाइजेशन होता है, किसी भी चीज को आप हथियार बना सकते हैं. डोनाल्ड ट्रंप ने पहले टैरिफ को हथियार बनाया. आपको पता है उसने टैरिफ के चक्कर में क्या बोला? उसने बोला कि मैं 50% टैरिफ लगाता हूं. तो 50% टैरिफ लगा के होगा क्या? 50% टैरिफ लगा के यह होगा कि जो $10,000 की चीज थी वो $15,000 की बिकेगी. वो $5,000 किसने देने हैं? जो अमेरिकन इंपोर्टर है उसने देने, इंडियन ने तो देने नहीं. उसने अपने लोगों को यह बोल दिया कि साहब ये तो हम इंडिया दे रहे हैं हमें पैसे. सब लोग खुश हो गए कि इंडिया से पैसे आ रहे हैं, वो खुद ही दे रहे हैं, एक जेब से दूसरी जेब में खुद डाल के. ही इज फीलिंग वेरी रिच. नाउ व्हाट ही डिड वाज, वो चीज 15,000 की हो गई. अब एक बात बताइए, एक अमेरिकन मैन्युफैक्चरर है, वो चीज 10,000 की दे रहा है, इंडियन मैन्युफैक्चरर $10,000 की दे रहा है, दोनों $10,000 की दे रहे हैं. आपने टैरिफ लगाया 50%, वो $10,000 की चीज हो गई 15,000 की. आपका आइडिया क्या था? कि इंडियन चीज इतनी महंगी हो जाए कि वो कॉम्पिटिटिव ना रहे. दैट वाज द होल आइडिया. हैव यू अंडरस्टूड? नाउ एज एन अमेरिकन सीईओ व्हाट विल यू डू? यू विल इमीडिएटली रेज द प्राइस ऑफ योर प्रोडक्ट to $14,500 एंड से कि देखो $500 फिर भी कम है इंडिया से, बिकॉज आपको प्रॉफिट कमाना है. ट्रंप ने ये एज्यूम करा कि जो अमेरिकन सीईओ है वो $10,000 पे 10,000 पे ही बना रहेगा. नहीं जी, वो इसीलिए तो इन्फ्लेशन हो रहा है अमेरिका में, कि जो लोकल अमेरिकन गुड्स है नाउ दे आर बीइंग सोल्ड एट अ वेरी हाई प्राइस, और इंडियन गुड्स जो है वो तो है ही. सो दोनों लेवल पे खेल चल रहा है. वही चीज उसने H1B वीजा पे करी. उसने बोल दिया कि लोग नहीं आएंगे, आप $100,000 आप दोगे तब आपको आने को मिलेगा. पहले उसने अनाउंसमेंट क्या करा कि एवरी ईयर यू हैव टू पे, देन ही सेड नो, वन टाइम. ठीक है. नाउ एज अ रिस्पॉन्स व्हाट हैज चाइना डन? चाइना हैज लॉन्च्ड द के वीजा. चाइना ने कल के वीजा लॉन्च करा. वो के वीजा क्या है? इट इज H1B ओनली बट फॉर चाइना. चाइना सेड आप मत आओ यहां पे, यूएस मत जाओ, यूएस को आपकी कदर नहीं, आप चाइना आ जाओ. ठीक है ना. सो आई विल एंड माई टॉक बाय टेलिंग यू दैट देयर आर टू काइंड्स ऑफ सिक्योरिटी इन द वर्ल्ड. वन इज ट्रेडिशनल सिक्योरिटी, जो कि ट्रेडिशनल सिक्योरिटी होती है, विच इज लाइक योर बॉम्ब्स, योर सबमरीन्स, योर आर्मी, नेवी, एयरफोर्स. दिस इज ट्रेडिशनल सिक्योरिटी. एंड देन देयर इज अ सिक्योरिटी कॉल्ड नॉन ट्रेडिशनल सिक्योरिटी. नॉन ट्रेडिशनल सिक्योरिटी क्या होती है? आपकी फूड सिक्योरिटी, वाटर सिक्योरिटी, एनर्जी सिक्योरिटी. अभी ऑयल के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं ना रशिया के साथ, कि रशिया को ऑयल क्यों ले रहे हैं. दैट इज नॉन ट्रेडिशनल सिक्योरिटी. पर आप में से किसी ने यह सोचा कि पिछले 10 दिन से अमेरिका ने इंडिया बाइंग ऑयल फ्रॉम रशिया की बात ही नहीं करी, और भारत ने 22% अपना ऑयल परचेज इंक्रीज कर दिया रशिया से. बट नोबडी इज टॉकिंग, सडनली अमेरिका इज नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट परचेजिंग ऑफ ऑयल. जो सबसे बड़ा मुद्दा था उसके बारे में ना कोई कमेंट आ रहा है, ना कोई ट्वीट आ रहा है, ना ट्रूथ सोशल पे कोई पोस्ट आ रहा है, सब चुप है. एंड सडनली ट्रंप हैज टर्न्ड अपॉन नेटो. कि तुम भी तो खरीद रहे हो तेल इनसे, मैं तुम्हारे ऊपर क्यों ना टैरिफ लगाऊं. सो ऑल दीज थिंग्स आर हैपनिंग. यू आर इन अ सेफ स्पेस इफ यू मेक योर कंट्री स्ट्रॉन्गर, एंड दैट इज द ओनली थिंग दैट यू कैन डू. मेक योर कंट्री स्ट्रॉन्गर. डोंट बी डिपेंडेंट अपॉन आउटसाइड कंट्रीज. इफ यू आर डिपेंडेंट अपॉन आउटसाइड कंट्रीज, बाहर के मुल्कों पे अगर आप लोग डिपेंडेंट होंगे तो ध्यान रखिएगा उन पे निर्भर है. कल वो बोल देगा मत आओ. एक 73-year-old एक लेडी थी who had been living in the US for more than 30 years. She had a green card. उसको अरेस्ट करके ले गए. That poor lady, उसको अरेस्ट करके ले गए. They just throw people out. Why? Because they can. आपके पास क्या प्रोटेक्शन है उसके खिलाफ? Unless you make your. देखिए बात ये होती है ना, मैं आपको बताता हूं. It's very easy कि यार अमेरिका में स्टाइल बड़ा अच्छा है, लाइफ बड़ी अच्छी है, यूरोप में बड़ा अच्छा है, यूरोप में बहुत अच्छा है, तो लेट मी गो एंड सेटल देयर एंड एवरीबडी इज वेलकम. यार आप जाओ बाहर, बिल्कुल जाओ, जाना चाहिए अगर आपको अच्छा लगता है. लेकिन मेनी पीपल क्रिटिसाइज देयर ओन कंट्री. भैया आपका बच्चा घर में है और वो कमजोर है, तो ऐसे थोड़ा ना कि पड़ोसी का बच्चा जिसके 95% है उससे ज्यादा प्यार करने लगोगे. आपकी जिम्मेदारी आपका बच्चा है, पड़ोसी का बच्चा थोड़ा ना आपकी जिम्मेदारी है. सो यू हैव टू टेक केयर ऑफ योर कंट्री विल टेक केयर ऑफ यू. We are on an upward trajectory. मैं आपको एक बात बताता हूं, as far as the economy is concerned, technology is concerned, everything, we are on an upward trajectory. लोगों को पसंद नहीं आ रहा है. और यही बात मिस्टर पीयूष गोयल ने बोली थी. उनकी बात काफी लोगों ने पकड़ी नहीं. He made a very very fine statement. He said people are scared. क्या होता है कि जब अखाड़े में नया पहलवान आता है ना तो लोग डरते हैं, पता नहीं कौन है, because you have not seen him. That is exactly what is happening in India. And with India, everybody is trying. एक छोटा सा एग्जाम्पल दूंगा, देन आई टेक क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम यू. वी पेड द मनी टू अमेरिका. हमने पूरा पैसा दे दिया. अमेरिका ने बोला ठीक है, हम आपको इंजन्स देंगे फाइटर एयरक्राफ्ट के, तेजस के. ठीक है ना. करीब 180 या 200 इंजन्स का ऑर्डर है जो हम लेंगे. 1 अरब से ज्यादा हम दे चुके हैं उनको. कभी बोलते हैं कि ठीक है सितंबर में हम 2 इंजन दे देंगे, दिसंबर में 1 दे देंगे. ऐसे चल रहा है इन स्पाइट ऑफ पेइंग द मनी. एंड दे विल मेक सम एक्सक्यूज कि सप्लाई चेन का इशू है. कोई इशू नहीं है. अमेरिका सिर्फ एक चीज चाहता है, इंडिया के पास पैसा है, हमारे पास हवाई जहाज हैं, आप हमसे खरीदिए, खुद क्यों बना रहे हैं अपना. इट्स लाइक सेइंग कि तुम अपने घर में किचन क्यों बना रहे हो, भांडे बर्तन क्यों खरीदे, हमारा रेस्टोरेंट है ना, डेली आके खाओ यहां पे. अमेरिका वॉन्ट्स यू टू बाय वेपन्स. अमेरिका वॉन्ट्स यू टू. अमेरिका का यह पॉइंट नहीं है कि भारत रूस से तेल क्यों खरीद रहा है. अमेरिका का यह पॉइंट है कि हमसे क्यों नहीं खरीद रहा. द मोमेंट यू स्टार्ट बाइंग मोर ऑयल फ्रॉम अमेरिका, उसको कोई फर्क नहीं. इट डज नॉट केयर अबाउट यूक्रेन, इट डज नॉट केयर अबाउट ऑल दीज थिंग्स. एवरी कंट्री केयर्स अबाउट नैरो सेल्फ इंटरेस्ट. हर एक देश अपने बारे में सोचता है और सेल्फिशली अपने बारे में सोचता है, और सेल्फिशली अपने बारे में सोचना चाहिए. प्लीज डोंट गेट इनटू दिस वेब ऑफ वासुदेव कुटुंबकम. पूरी दुनिया आपका परिवार नहीं है, आपका परिवार भारत है. इसके अलावा कोई आपका परिवार नहीं है. जो समझ रहे थे परिवार उनका पता लग रहा है ना, H1B वाला. कोई परिवार नहीं है, आपका परिवार भारत है. और यहां पे हर एक मजहब के, हर एक जाति के, हर एक लैंग्वेज के लोग रहते हैं, और ऐसे ही रहना है, बिकॉज देयर विल बी पीपल हु विल ट्राई टू ब्रेक यू. आपको तोड़ने की कोशिश करेंगे. और जिस दिन आप अंदर से कमजोर हो गए, आप बाहर के दुश्मन से कभी नहीं लड़ सकते. मैं अक्सर एक बात कहता हूं, भारत का इतिहास गवाह है कि किले के दरवाजे हर समय अंदर से खुले हैं. और ये हमारी 3000 साल से भी ज्यादा का इतिहास है. जब अलेक्जेंडर आया था ना, सिकंदर आया था जब यूनान से, व्हेन ही केम, देयर वर पीपल इनसाइड हु वर हेल्पिंग हिम. तो आप समझ लीजिए, दैट इज व्हाई यू नीड टू बी वेरी वेरी स्ट्रांग इनसाइड. विद दैट, लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, आई कम टू द एंड ऑफ माय टॉक, एंड थैंक यू वेरी मच.